boils and ghouls, and welcome back to our second week of our Halloween horror month with our theme of Tell Me a Story. And this week, we are talking about a kind of lost to DVD. It was kind of a weird VHS that I looked at a million times at the video store uh, and rented. This weird little, and we're going to find a theme very quickly, made for TV horror anthology from 1997, Quicksilver Highway. Now, this has a lot of weird facts we'll get into. It was originally created. This was made for Fox, the Fox network. Again, in the mid '90s, man, like Tales from the Crypt was so big that it felt like everybody. Horror anthologies have done well. Um, Even before Tales from the Crypt, you had Tales from the Dark Side, the HBO series that we should probably. I would love to do a full review on the Hitchhiker, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. All these great anthology shows. But the early '90s, they became so huge because of the success of Tales from the Crypt that everybody kind of wanted their own. So Fox was developing one for John McTiernan. That's right, Die Hard's John McTiernan of all people, to direct, and they hired Mick Garris to write. And then for whatever reason, right as they were going into making it, John McTiernan bounced. I think originally it was supposed to be just a story about. It was a series about this traveler who would travel the highway, telling ghost stories to people. I'm dealing with ghosts and urban legends, a la kind of the Hitchhiker, but with Christopher Lloyd playing our titular story weaver, if you will, Aaron Quicksilver, and his weird chrome streamliner camper that was also like a TARDIS because it was much bigger on the inside than on the outside. So when McTiernan bounced, Mick Garris decided to take over and direct it, and so he decided to do two stories. One written by Clive Barker, the other written by Stephen King. I know, what a shock! Mick Garris is adapting Stephen King. This particular TV movie, unlike one we'll talk about next week, and of course, the big one at this time, Tales from the Crypt, really doesn't have a tie around segment. This is very much, and we found that in more recent film anthologies. We are foregoing the wraparound segments. This is just something is happening that causes somebody to pop up, and for Christopher Lloyd in this terrible red-headed He-Man haircut he's got going on, it kind of looks like the hair he has at the beginning of the Addams Family movie, only without the Uncle Fester fat suit on. He's dressed like a very proto weird Hot Topic goth kid from the '90s. Just telling them a ghost story, and there's there's no they're not dead the whole time or whatever. It's just, hey, you want to hear this creeper guy tell you a story? And so, I guess when they shot the film, Stephen King's story was first, followed by Clive Barker's, being an adaptation of Stephen King's short story The Chattery Teeth, and then Clive Barker's The Body Politic. When they edited the movie together, they flipped them. And look, we can all sit here and agree that Stephen King is one of the greatest horror authors of all time. I personally love his short story stuff because I think that's where he's able to cut loose the most. Because he only has a short period of time, and some of his short stories are fantastic. Love the novels. I'm a big Stephen King short story guy. Same with Clive Barker. The books of blood are fantastic. I don't know what made them pick these two stories and put them together, other than like the loosest of like, one's called the body politic and one's called chattery teeth. Those are two body things. Like it doesn't, these don't tie together very well. Besides also being very silly. I guess you could, they're tied together to be very silly. And part of this I can't tell if we're playing into the black comedy at all, or what exactly we're doing. So, but much like we did with VHS Beyond, we're gonna break this down story by story, starting with the body politic. This is a story with the star of the story is Matt Frewer. He's been in a lot of Stephen King stuff with Mick Garris. Most memorably, Trash Can Man from 1994's The Stand. And he is a surgeon. And this is definitely a more reads on the page better than on film. One day he's in surgery and he like loses control of his hand for a moment. And and a surgeon, like that's no, it's uh-oh. So he goes to see a shrink, and it's very much about like you losing control, and the guy will not stop telling him how important control is. Meanwhile, at night, you discover that his hands are sentient and speak to each other. And something like of a missed opportunity, the movie should have done like sign language with like subtitles, but instead it's just like they're just like but like they have voices. And his right hand is ready to lead the hand revolution. And they're going to gather all the hands, and he is going to rule them because he is their Messiah. And the left hand is his disciple. Are you still with me? And so they murder his wife, and then the right hand lops off the left hand to go to the hospital and free all the other hands. And we have a scene, several scenes of Matt Frewer running around with these, and this is a post Addams Family thing world we're in, 97. All these CGI hands. And he has to stop the handopocalypse, whatever you want to call it. The digital apocalypse, huh? Digits. And so, since he is still attached to their ringleader, as it were, Pied Pipers all the hands to the roof of this building and flings himself and his right hand off of the building to his death. And then, to no one's surprise, and yet to my total surprise, this cult of hands ends like most cults do, with all the other hands flinging themselves off of the roof of this building to their death, much like lemmings. And I gotta tell you, as cheap as this movie is, and as kind of not good as this movie is, There's never nothing I enjoyed more in this hour and a half than watching a bunch of rubber hands being flung off the roof of a building while hearing like wee woohoo yeah plop 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 plop. And so that's the story of the body politic. Again, very interesting short story. Works great in a short story collection on paper. In film form, looks and is absolutely ridiculous. That leads us to our second story, The Chattery Teeth. And this one involves a businessman who is pretty high strung. It doesn't help that his wife Veronica Cartwright is really just up his butt about getting home as fast as he can. It's his son's birthday, and his son's being a little jerk too. You see, he's coming home, but he's stuck in the sandstorm. Very dangerous to drive in. And they're like, "Well, it doesn't matter if you die on the way as long as you're on your way. So hurry up and get here." So he pulls over to this roadside like store because he can't go. He cannot go any further until the storm livens up. While there, he sees like a giant, like comically large size of chattery teeth, like the wind up teeth with the feet and that walk, and you know. And the lady at the store is like, "I tell you what, they're broken. They don't work. So you can have them." And he's like, "Cool, my ungrateful son. I'm sure will love these." Um, he gets sets out to leave, and there's a hitchhiker, and he's like, "Hey man, this storm's pretty bad. Do you mind giving me a ride?" And he's like, "I'm a little wary of hitchhikers because I've been robbed before." And the guy's like, "Hey man, not me because I'm a good hitchhiker." Spoiler warning: he's not a good hitchhiker. Pulls a knife and he's gonna rob him and kill him. They're driving. He wrecks the car, drives it like upside down into this ditch, where he sees the hitchhiker being dragged away, kicking and screaming by the chattery teeth. So imagine watching a man be murdered by just giant chompers. Um, he wakes up in the hospital, and he ends up at one point going back to the place, and he sees the teeth are there, but they're kind of broken. And that's where he finds like, oh yeah, they found that guy's body out in the desert. Animals must have got to him because he was just torn apart, teeth marks everywhere. And she's like, but these were yours, so if you want them, he's like, sure. He takes them, and then like a dog starts to growl at him because it's like a jerk dog, and the teeth are like, and so you realize, oh no, the teeth aren't evil. The teeth were protecting him. Um, and so like his guardian angel is a set of like giant clown novelty. Like they were the kind of teeth that like Pee Wee would have made fun of in like the joke store scene in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Um, and that was it. Needless to say, this did not get picked up as a TV series. And like I said, this movie never really made it. I remember seeing the cover. It's a very memorable cover. I have it on classic DVD. Um, this is the only way you can find it. There's a rip of it on YouTube, but it is not good quality. Um, yeah, I don't recommend this one. Like it was fun going back. It's fun to see. Basically, look up some scenes. Like you see some of the scenes on YouTube, like some clips and stuff. Watch that because this is. I mean, this isn't like bad tier anthology. I mean, we're not talking like Creepshow 3, but This is really dumb. And so, but it was a lot of fun revisiting because I hadn't seen it since like renting it. Like even the DVD, I found it in like a garage sale or like a thrift store, bought it and like haven't watched it just to have it. So it's fun revisiting for that. Um, Honestly, you'd be better off picking most any other story out of the Books of Blood or any one of the great Stephen King collections. I would suggest Skeleton Crew or Graveyard Shift. But no, it was fun revisiting, but this isn't one I would recommend. Next week's, however, is one I'm excited to talk about because we are back in TV pilot territory. This time, though, we're talking uh, paid channel TV. And this is the one that really was kind of like, we want a competitor for our version of Tales from the Crypt. And they took a very famous director and kind of gave him free reign. So next week we are talking about John Carpenter's Body Bag. So until then, make sure you check your candy. Curl up with a good scary story. And until then, make sure you leave those porch lights on. Bye.